Hi, welcome back to the show. I'm your host Kelly, and today Empowered's in a little looks a little different. It's in a little bit different location. We are here in Hawaii. I think I got that right. Anyways, so I've been here since Tuesday, and I actually came for a Christian women's conference for at Arise Church, and they put it on every February. They do a conference, the same conference, but just different speakers that they have, and so I've actually tried to come a few times. The very first time that I tried to come back in 2021, actually did not make it. And that was the year that we had the big ice storm, lost all power in Texas. And so um, I, I was thankful that I didn't come that year because I would have been worried about my kiddos back home while I was here enjoying the beautiful beach and sun and all of that. But I wanted to let y'all see a little bit of the island. Well, I guess you can see what's behind me. That's the beach, part of the beach in Waikiki right behind me. But uh, this week has really been amazing. It's been beautiful, just the scenery, the people, the food, really good food. But the conference was like the cherry on top. It was 2 days. The first night was Thursday, and then Friday was the second night, and all of it was good. Um, the pastor's wife, Lisa, she spoke night one, and then there was um, one other lady that spoke on Thursday night, and then Friday when we came back, they put on a beautiful event. But Friday when we came back, there was another pastor that spoke, and then actually the pastors of Arise, their daughter, Rebecca, she spoke and just gave a powerful word, and I really feel like it was for me. Night two, just kind of like I said, it was the icing on the cake for me. Um, a little backstory: I was actually started feeling sick last Sunday, and I flew out on Tuesday, and I knew our flight was going to be a pretty long flight. We flew from Dallas to Oakland, and then from Oakland we flew into Kauai, and then to here to Honolulu. But I just pretty much crashed and burned Sunday night after I went to a friend of mine's birthday party, and all day was just kind of feeling. And when I got home, I felt horrible and took a bath, took some medicine, and went to bed probably about seven, seven, 7:30, and it was just I felt horrible all night, didn't really get much rest. And so when I woke up early Monday morning to check in for my flight, I shot the girls a text because I'm here with my sister-in-law Kristeen. She used to live here in Hawaii, and it's actually her home church that does the women's conference. And then Alicia came, my best friend, she came along as well. So I text them and just let them know, please say a prayer for me because I don't know if I'm going to make that flight tomorrow. It was an early morning flight, and I just felt horrible. And so they started praying, and God does what he always does. Just put a touch on my body, and I actually was able to make it on the flight. Tuesday, made it through the whole flight. It wasn't until I got here Tuesday afternoon and we got checked in and all of that that I just started feeling miserable all over again. And so they ended up going out the first night and getting something to eat and all that. And I stayed in the room and just slept. And woke up Wednesday feeling a lot better. and we were able to get into the right room. So I was able to get a bathtub. And I tell you, when I'm sick, an Epsom salt bath, that's the only thing that helps me feel better. So I was able to get into a hot bath Wednesday and some Epsom salt, and I felt better and better every day. And thank God, praise God, that I did not get anyone. I wore a mask on the plane, and I didn't get either Kristeen or Alicia sick. So thank God for that. But Monday, when I reached out to them for prayer, I just started listening to worship music and playing worship music over myself. And there was this one song that I hadn't heard before, and it's from SEU Worship. And the title of it is What a God, What a God. But just those words I let just kind of flood over me, and let the spirit fill me. And I was just praying, God, to lift this sickness off of me. Please don't get anyone else sick. But if it's your will that I'm supposed to go to the conference, then I'll make it. I'll feel better, and I'll make it on the flight. Everyone that knows me knows I love to travel, but that's how bad I was feeling. To For the thought to not get here, not come on the flight, not come on the trip. And my plan was, see how I felt if I didn't make it on Tuesday, see how I felt on um, Tuesday evening going into Wednesday, and then just come a day later or something. But, you know, just like I said, how God works everything out. And I was able to make it on the flight. I did make it through the flight, and it felt okay the whole time. So that's a blessing. But we on night 2, so this song, I had never heard it before, and I even told one of the girls, I just said, I don't know if you've ever heard the song, but it's such a good song. You need to listen to it. And so this song has been playing in my head, since I heard it that Monday. And just the words, like, what a God he is. And how, if you just get to the feet of his feet, then you've done it all. If you only see his hand but never get to see his glory, you've seen it all. And which is so true. And so this song is playing in my head, and over. I just have this tune, and we're going about our trip during the day, doing some tours, seeing all of Hawaii, because obviously, like I said, Kristeen used to live here, so she's showing us all the places that we need to see, and just the beauty of the island. And we go to night 2, and they start out with worship, and then they'll have someone speak. And we sang a couple of songs, and then they came in. The pastor was there. He came and talked and spoke, and then they said, let's worship some more. And they played What a God, What a God. And I cry every time I hear it, but I just started bawling. I lost it, because it was like God knew that I needed that song. And if I was not going to make it here, he was going to get it in my spirit even before I got here. And so the fact that they played it there was just like, I knew I was supposed to be here. And obviously, in the enemy's fashion, always trying to throw something at me and keep me from being able to walk in my purpose, to do what God has positioned me to do. Obviously, come here and get the word that I needed to hear. And so that was amazing. And then the pastor's daughter, Rebecca, spoke, and just her, for me, it really resonated with me and touched me. Just talking about having a peace about when you feel like everything is chaotic and going wrong. And that's a lot of times, the trick of the enemy is to get us all frantic and, worried about, how are we going to do this? And that doesn't look possible. And, what the world tells us, right? But she was just talking about how not only herself, but her mom and her dad, and probably backstory, the church, the pastor and his wife, they had been doing communion, probably for the last week leading up to the conference. And Sunday night, they got some rain, and the sanctuary was flooded where the conference was actually supposed to be, where the conference always is, right? And so they got the call Monday morning that the church was flooded. You are not going to be able to do the conference there. They're trying to, do damage control, obviously, because they want to make sure that nothing besides the floods, there's not more expenses, repairs, all of that. But then they have to go into, "Well, we can't cancel the conference. It's days away." Um, and actually, they have two conferences, so they did the same conference, but they did part one and session one and session two. So they needed to do session one already. And so they just kind of went in overdrive trying to find a place suitable for everyone that was going to be at conference one, session one, I mean. And so, and then session two would be Wednesday, which is what or would be Thursday and Friday, which is what we came for, was the session two. So God worked it out. They did session one without a hitch at a different location. And then Wednesday, probably, I think they said about midday, they got the call after just asking, knocking doors, calling in favors, all of that. They got the news that they were going to be able to hold session two of the conference at the Hilton Village, which is this building right out here that you see. So much closer to us than what we were thinking in the beginning. And plus, it's a beautiful facility, beautiful hotel. It was in the grand ballroom. And so she talked a little bit about that, the fact that they had been doing communion all that week leading up to it, that they had so much peace when they did get the call, when they were told that the building had flooded and that they were not going to be able to do either of the conference, sessions there in uh, their actual building. They just had peace about it. And she even mentioned, like, I don't know, if I hadn't been doing communion, I don't know if I would have had, sorry, um, that same sense of peace. And so her daughter was going through some things as well. Her session that she talked about was they had been on a trip and they're out doing, the vacation stuff, eating all the good foods, shopping, all that. And then they get a call saying that they have about 45 days to get out of their house that they're in now, their rental, because the owner is selling it. And the same with her. She's just like, I have this peace. And she talked about fasting and praying, and that she just had this peace about, God is going to work it all out. He's already working on it. They just have to trust him. And, when things look good or when things are easy, it's easy to trust, right? It's when the tough things come at you that it makes it so much harder to trust. And because we're human, we like to think that we need, it's something that we have to do, uh, to make things happen. And reality is God just wants us to trust him. He can do the heavy lifting. He can do it in a snap of a finger, but our faith is grown, when we are uh tested, when we have to use that muscle of trusting him to work it all out, that his plan is better than ours, because it always is. And so her, really truthfully, she's 28, I believe is what she said. And just her her preaching is what, I was just blown away by it. Like, to be 28 and to have that strong faith, and to be resilient. She told more of her testimony from about a year ago, the same time, this conference in February, that she was battling some severe depression and anxiety. And to see her now on stage a year later, preaching for the first time in front of her father, uh, to 1,500 women. That's pretty amazing. And it's just a testimony to, what God will do when we trust him, when we get out of his way, really, and completely trust him, surrender to him. And, just, we like to say, Jesus, take the wheel. But when we really truly do allow him to be in the driver's seat, no matter what it looks like, there's a huge storm ahead of us. Like, we can't see through the windshield wipers. They won't clear the rain fast enough. But when we know that he's in control and his plans are better than our plans, we can't lose. And so that part of that her night two, that song and her testimony, it was just, it blew me away. And I am so thankful that I came, and I'm looking forward to next year. And their what they are projecting and what they're praying for or prayerful for is a facility next year that will hold 10,000 women. And then we all have to bring our girlfriends, aunts, moms, grandmas, sisters, nieces, cousins, all the ladies, because there's definitely a word for someone to hear. And next year it'll be all different speakers, but same beautiful location. And um I'm expecting the same powerful word as what we heard 2 nights ago. And I have Kristeen and Alicia here, and I was gonna have one of them or both of them, if they feel comfortable, coming on and just kind of giving their um I guess their recap of their experience, and how they felt about the conference. Kristeen is actually, like I said, she lived here, and then she has been, I believe she said she's been to, they put on 14 conferences in total, since starting Arise Women. And she has been, I think she said she's only missed 1 year. She, mind you, she lived here for 6 years, 5.5, 6 years. So she was here every year, and then she has come back. She has legit made the trip every February to come back just specifically for the conference. I mean, she has loved ones here. Sorry. She has loved ones here that she comes and visits, and friends. And then also, like I said, you know, the scenery, just being here uh, in February, when back in Texas right now, I think this week it is freezing cold, has been freezing cold. So I do feel a little bad for my babies at home and my kiddos at home. But um, I'm so glad that I made it, and I would not trade this for the world. I'm kicking myself for not coming in 2021 and every year since. But it's all in God's timing, and it always works out the way it's supposed to. So I'm just excited for next year. And when I bring Kristeen out, I'll let her kind of talk a little bit about her experience, and like I said, give a recap of what her highlights were from the conference. And then, I've talked about it before this year. I said, we were coming to the conference, and I've already kind of been praying and I feel God has been uh, talking to me about maybe doing another conference or some kind of women's conference resort or retreat. Um, Obviously faith based, but so Arise next year, I would love that, to bring another group of ladies along with us and let them experience for the first time, and spend a few days before and after, or before the conference, get a little bit of the Hawaii sun. So I will be back here shortly with probably Kristeen, and I'll just let her come on and talk a little bit. Well, y'all may remember my sister-in-law, Kristeen. She's been on with us before, and she is one of the ladies that came with me, or I came along with her for the Arise conference. And I was talking about earlier, so they've done Arise for 14 years now.
Mm-hmm. This year was the 14th year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you've missed all but...
I've been to all but 2. One was during COVID, which it was all online. So I did the download card. And then one other year between 2011 and 2025. I can't exactly remember what year that was. It may have been like 2017 after I moved from Hawaii back to Texas. But yes, and even that year I probably did the download card, so I didn't really miss it.
Right. And I talked about that a little bit as well, that they're going to do almost basically a playback. So those that missed it, they can still kind of get, be here in spirit, I guess.
Yeah, you can do a download card, and it'll be all. So with the Rise, what they've done is 2 conferences now, because we used to do it with just one conference, and then it would sell out so much. So they went to 2 conferences, and it's been that way for quite a few years now. And so with the download card, you would get both the first Monday and Tuesday sessions, and then also the Thursday and Friday sessions that we attended. Okay. So you'll get everything, the worship, all of that, and it's on a download, and you can just go to ariseinspire.tv, I believe, but Kelly can post in her show notes.
Yeah.
The link, if anybody's interested in doing that. It was a phenomenal conference. Learned so much. We had Kira Smallcomb, and Leanne Mathesius, and then also Pastor Lisa Kai, who I've watched since the very beginning. And it's just amazing to see how she's transformed as a speaker and a pastor and a leader of this women's movement that she God put on her heart so many years ago. And as she will say, it's for the next generation. Everything we do is for the next generation, right? Raising up the next generation of God-fearing women. And then also her daughter is now pastoring, and so
her and her husband are youth pastors.
Her and her husband are youth. Yes, Elijah. He's also over the worship, and an amazing singer. And Becca just has an amazing testimony and a love for God that it is contagious. So
yeah,
just hearing her speak, and watching her from just being so much younger, and to now see who she is, as she's come into her own and is stepping into her calling that God has on her life, is just amazing as well. She was very inspirational. I think they all, in some way, I'm wearing my bracelet. So this year's theme was image, and how we are made in God's image, a perfect image of Him. And that really spoke to me, the Imago Dei, and just how we can, throw off everything that burdens us, every shame, every sin, everything, because we're in Christ Jesus. We are made in God's image, and He sees perfection in us because He is perfect. So, just one of the, and I can't remember because it all runs together when you're going and you're so into the moment,
Yeah.
but it may have been Kira Smallcomb or it may have been Leanne. It was one of those two. We're talking about the woman, um, or no, I'm sorry, the blind man that was, Jesus made the mud and put it over his eyes and then told him to make his way to the pool of Siloam to wash his eyes. And, that wouldn't have been, he didn't lead him there. He didn't take him there. He gave him healing and then told him to go claim his healing in the pool of Siloam. And I'm getting chills thinking about it, but just hearing her preach about how the first thing that blind man would have seen in this crystal clear water was his own reflection. And seeing his reflection is basically seeing God, because we are made in God's image. And just that really touched me. I think that's one of the things that has stuck with me the most from the conference. I'll also be buying this year's download just because it's so hard for me to take notes while we're in conference because I get so caught up in the moment. I forget to take the notes, and then everything's going so fast, and then it was just so spirit filled too. So you're praying and you're talking in the spirit, and you're just worshiping, and everything's moving, and so notes get thrown to the side. And so I'll get the download and go back and listen again, and probably listen a few more times. Then I make my notes.
I didn't even, I was so in the moment, I really didn't even get pictures and video like I had planned on it. But I kind of talked about how, the pastors, Lisa, and Mike were doing communion that week leading up to it. And then I did talk a little bit about how they got the news that the sanctuary, the church was flooded. And so that threw their whole session 1 and 2 off. But the peace that they had because of communion.
Yeah.
And I told you this, I have always kind of wondered, could I do communion outside of just doing it with church, more than once? Cause I just, it's one of those things I always kind of just wondered or had questions, but I don't know. I didn't know it was something that, you do it anytime, all by yourself, whatever, and
and they even said that they're like, do communion as often as you want.
Yeah. But it was because
it's in
of
remembrance of Jesus and your relationship with him and what he's done for us. And so we, as children of Christ and children of God, co-heirs with Christ, have that ability to do that communion whenever it moves us. Yeah, whenever we feel led to do it. It's something you can do in your home with your family, as a group of friends, just as a sacred moment to remember exactly what Jesus did for us.
Yeah.
And who he is to us.
And the communion and that song, and I talked about this as well, the what a God, to me, that's exactly what the communion is for me. It's just being at his feet and just, that's as close I ever get. I've done it all.
Yeah.
It's amazing. That song makes me cry every time I listen to it. So I talked about that he was like, I got to get this song in her spirit so she'll get on that plane and get there. And then I'm going to play it for her again. I had no clue, but that's how our God works. That's the way he does stuff. But I heard it Monday and I was just like, oh, I just need this to be sung over and over and over me so I can feel better, so I can get on the flight and make it to the convention or the conference. And so, and I talked about their daughter, her testimony and her preaching. I feel like she shut it down. I mean, Leanne is an amazing speaker and pastor. Obviously they have their own church. So, but just to do that in front of a group of 1,500 women.
Yeah.
And then she even gave us that little insight that would be the first time that her dad heard her preach. That's
yeah,
that's a lot.
That is a lot. It is a lot.
Just hats off to her, and I think she did amazing.
Yeah.
And her testimony is just so powerful. She didn't even have to give that testimony at the end of where she was a year ago. This time during conference, riddled with anxiety and depression. So that's even more, that just
Yeah.
made it even more powerful for me.
Yeah, transparency. And I mean, and I think that's what's important too, is to know, hey, just because they're up on that stage and they're giving this word doesn't mean that their life is all together, that everything's going great for them. And just being transparent about the struggles, because that can help somebody else
No.
know, hey, it's okay that I'm not okay. And, but God's going to bring me through it,
Mm-hmm.
just being able to see he's brought somebody else through it. He's going to bring me through it. I think that was awesome. And then I just think also too, I don't know if Kelly mentioned earlier, before I joined, but, Pastor Lisa, with the flood and the change and, so the first 2 nights, they had it in a smaller campus, the Inspire Mililani campus that doesn't hold very many people. Some people gave up their spots for the first two nights to come to the last 2 nights just to but not even knowing where they were going to have it.
Right.
And then, God made a way for it to be held at the Grand Ballroom of the, Hilton Hawaiian Village down in Waikiki, which the conference has never been down in Waikiki. Finding space in Waikiki on such short notice, like waking up Monday morning and then having that space by noon on Wednesday was nothing short of a miracle. But then just how Pastor Lisa talked about, sometimes God will do things to make us move, because we get complacent, we get comfortable.
Yep.
Being where I know Kelly and I
Yeah.
are both in that season of our life where,
Yeah.
we were very comfortable. And God said, yeah, I think you're a little too, we had these big dreams.
Yeah.
We had these things that we wanted to do for Christ, and we wanted to do for God's kingdom. We wanted to do, passions that he's put inside of us. And yet we were so very comfortable in what we were doing. And, the job, in my case, the job I had, not having to really stretch myself. So,
Yep.
and then God turned some things upside down, and he's like, no, you're going to step out completely in faith, and you're going to move, because if you just stay here, you will never do it.
Yeah.
You're too comfortable.
You
So
have the
you make me
potential,
uncomfortable. Yeah.
and you're never going to use it because you're comfortable right where you are.
Yeah. And so you don't have to do that scary thing of stepping out in faith, because you're like, I can do some things here and I'm doing well. And that other thing, I'll just, work it up alongside. And then all of a sudden it's like, no, that's your plan A now.
Yeah.
So just hearing Pastor Lisa talk about and just come out, and she's like, I can't take my word back. And to say we're doing one conference next year, 10,000 women is who I'm going to have 10,000 women in attendance. I absolutely expect God to meet that and exceed that. We, as the next few months come along, will be sharing more. We're Waikiki traffic. We'll be sharing more about next year's conference, putting a group together that's going to come. Married women, unmarried, single women want to come. We'll have an ability to have roommates, in that instance to keep costs down. But for married women who want to bring their spouse, the conference is going to be 2 days. And then the rest of the time we'll have other fun things that we can do. And so, just come and feel the move of the Spirit, support Inspire Church and Arise and all of everything that they do. Send Hope International is what this conference benefits, and Send Hope International sends money to churches, pastors around the world in the United States, who have started churches and are in need of financial assistance until their churches get going. So every dollar in proceeds from this conference goes to Send Hope International. So we look forward to having more people join us next year.
That's what I told them.
It truly is Hawaii is an amazing place. I lived here for almost 6 years, was blessed to do so. I love my church here, Inspire Church, and have stayed plugged in here, even though I'm back in Texas now. But it's an amazing, beautiful place, but the conference is just so spirit filled. You can feel the spirit of God on that place, and just seeing all these women, 1,500 women under one roof, just worshiping, giving everything they've got to God.
Yeah.
I just
It was
love it.
amazing, and it was
Yeah.
beautiful to see. And so I did say that earlier. Bring your moms, your grandmas, your
Yep.
aunts, your
Friends,
cousins, best friends,
anybody.
coworkers,
Yeah.
anybody and everybody that wants to come. But I'll have more info once they
Yeah,
get
we know the date's going to be late February, probably around this same week, second to the last week or the last week of February,
February.
depending on what venue they can get to hold that many women. But I feel confident that they'll narrow down that
Pretty
time
quickly.
frame pretty quick. And then I've already secured group space.
Okay.
So we'll have space at the conference for that, and we'll be sharing all of that information. So yeah, we'd love to have everybody,
Yeah.
as many as we can, and I can secure more space. So
Right.
yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited for next year. Like I said, I'm kicking myself that I did not come sooner, because it was a great conference, and so I'm excited for next year to do it all over again and enjoy the Hawaii Island weather for
Yeah,
a
no,
week in February if we keep getting cold weather in Dallas and Texas like we have the last couple of years. So
yeah.
I think that is everything.
Yeah, I
Thank
think
you for joining
so.
me, Kristeen, and until next time.
Bye.
Bye.